Hallo miteinander, I'm Gashady6, and this is a very reasonable game. Snake Rattle and Roll is probably the most sensible and down-to-earth game that I've played in my youth. Yep, it's not like all these other mindless and over-the-top games. It tells us the tale of two snakes, Rattle and Roll, that want to eat nibbly-pibblies in order to climb a mountain so tall it'll lead them to the surface of the moon. And now that we know this Oscar-worthy story, let us jump right into this wondrous adventure. So, one look is all it takes and you know that this is not your usual game. It's a pseudo 3D isometric platformer, a very uncommon kind of genre for the NES library, but the company that made it, Rare, has always been a bit experimental with their games. Back then, even more than recently. And this is a prime example. And hey, we're already moving pretty fast. We've reached the first bonus round, and here we can eat nibbly-pibblies without any sort of danger. You need to do so in order to gather enough segments, so that you're heavy enough to ring a bell at the end of the level and open up the exit. And just there we licked an oversized, severed foot so often that it exploded. The most normal thing I've seen in my whole life. Totally! Who am I kidding? I should drop the act. This game is weird, wacky, and just completely absurd all the way. Well anyway, as I was saying before, in order to open up the exit of most levels, you need to be big enough. The problem is that your segments also symbolize your health. You get hit, you lose one, and that means that you're gonna have to eat some more to proceed. However, sometimes getting hit can be pretty helpful, like from these sharks. Every time they bite you, they will catapult you up way into the air, and that'll help you reach some secret areas. I like to call this technique jumping the shark. Yep, we're 2 minutes into the video and we've already jumped the shark 3 times. That's a record. Doing one of those below this spot will help us reach a valuable extra life. You really want those. But we're having a bit of trouble getting it. Oh well, 3rd time was the charm, and for messing up here, the game really didn't punish us at all. Later on, it won't be so kind anymore. Nope, it will not cut you any slack. We've just finished the first level, and the game tells us that we're fantastic. Honestly, beating the first level in this game proves that you are not a germ, that you actually have fingers and at least somewhat working brain cells. But I know that the game's praise will be more appropriate in the future. Believe me, it will, because this game, it's hard. And no, I don't mean just a little bit hard. It is evil. Evil to the core. To give you a better idea of what I mean, let me remind you that Rare was also responsible for the notorious Battletoads. Even though Snake Rattle and Roll is not in the same league as that beast, it is still pretty brutal all in all, even after you've mastered the somewhat awkward controls. The item that we just collected was a wind-up key. It gives us a temporary speed boost, pretty useful. We've already run across a lot of items, haven't we? And I haven't been able to mention most of them. There's the self-explanatory tongue extensions, but there's also alarm clocks. These will give extra seconds to your timer. Yes, this game is timed, but it's not a very strict limit. With a million things that are out to murder you in this game, running out of time is a very uncommon way to go, but it has happened to me before, so don't dawdle. And with the help of that bonus round, we were able to eat a lot of pibble boings. Yes, I'm not making this up, that's really what they're called. The ones in stage 1 were pib balls. They would only roll and not bounce around like these. The diamond that we just picked up makes us invincible for a short time. That is very helpful, but it doesn't protect you against everything. Falling too deep or falling in a hole will still kill you. Oh, and to get up this waterfall, we had to clear our first 2 diagonal jumps of the game. They're a bit higher than they look. You have to change direction in midair, and that can be a bit frustrating at first. The other snake isn't just there for show, by the way. There is in fact cooperative multiplayer in Snake Rattle and Roll. And you know, this game was my sister's growing up, so a whole lot of times we sat down together and played it. I had to, whether I liked it or not. We've just arrived at level 3 and it already starts with what is a little bit of a trap. We've got 2 items in the water, and in order to grab them and survive afterwards, you will have to hold up and steer against the current. It looks like you can just save yourself to the left, but if you try that, you will slide off and kill yourself. Now at this point we could just move on, but there is another manhole that we skipped. And it's quite an important one because it leads to another bonus round. This one is full of pibble joggers. They're pibblies with tiny little legs. That's actually a little bit cute. Anyway, a good strategy for any bonus round is to leave the blue pibblies for last. They move slower than the pink and yellow ones, and when you've grabbed those, the blue ones will still be around. Chasing after the yellow or golden pibblies can be annoying, but they're also worth the most points. Now listen to the sound this item makes when you take it. Sounds pretty important, right? That's because that was a continue. A continue basically means 3 lives. You start the game with 2, that was our third, and if you do the math, we have 8 lives on this continue, the 0 counts, so we have 17 lives in total. Sounds like a lot, doesn't it? Not in this game. Not in this game. It's so easy to die in Snake Rattle and Roll, it's unbelievable. Anyway, we've reached the spot where you would farm for nibbly pibblies if you had to. We don't, but this is also remarkable for another reason. There is a warp zone here. We're just gonna skip it. But to make up for that, I'm going to show you a different warp zone at the end of the video. We might be long enough already to end the level, but since we already found it, let's do the second bonus round of level 3, where we devour helpless pibble joggers and spit out their small, dead legs. Well, this turned a little bit gruesome all of a sudden. Bit of advice, don't think about this game too hard. You know what I noticed with games by Rare? They sometimes turn unexpectedly dark. I mean, have you ever seen the game over scene of Banjo-Kazooie? First time you see that, it ruins your day. Alright, level 3 is almost over. All that's left to do is to lick another big sweaty foot, and with the final jump, we reach towards the exit. Not only does that wrap up level 3, but our first video as well. I think this is a pretty sensible spot to stop, because after the third level you're really taking off the training wheels. Level 4 is the first noticeable jump in difficulty. But before I leave, I promised you something, didn't I? A warp zone, and it's all the way back in level 1. Very close to the start actually. There is a small island nearby that doesn't seem to serve any purpose, but it actually contains an invisible manhole. You just lick it and you will go into it, and that's a warp to level 3. I don't think I ever found this warp zone as a kid, because why would I ever think of licking at that spot? But in the end, I didn't miss anything because that warp zone is completely pointless. You will miss out on valuable extra lives from level 2, and you'll save what, 4 minutes maybe? It's really not worth it. Especially because there's another better warp zone in level 1. But that will be for another time. For now, I'm Geshady6, this was Snake Rattle and Roll, and next time, more things that are a little bit abnormal, only very slightly so. Bis bald!